As she said, my name is Ryan Dixon, and I'm our small business advocate over here at Maricopa County, and I'm joined by Lisa Bernhardt. Lisa, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Good morning.
I'm lucky enough to actually know quite a few of you, so I'm glad to see you back again and be able to share this topic with you. Today, our intent is to help load your toolbox with the tools that you need to grow your business and potentially provide your goods, services, products to Maricopa County. Growing your business is good for you and good for us, and increased competition drives quality up and pricing down for the local economy. We're going to talk about counties in general, what we do, what we buy. We'll talk about our e-procurement platform and what our requirements are for insurance. And we'll walk you through how to get signed up to be a vendor with Maricopa County, how to find and respond to bids, some tips for maximizing your profile. We'll share about our small and local business advocacy program, and then what to do when you've been awarded, and we'll open it up for questions. I like to have an engaging conversation as we go along. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat and Bowen will tell us, or you can unmute and ask. But remember that we will have a Q&A at the end, so everyone will get their answers one way or another. Let's get into it. Why do counties matter? Well, counties provide vital services to all Americans across the country. County employees administer vaccines, maintain roads and bridges, make sure elections are fair and accurate. You can see here on the screen a few different statistics about where spend goes with counties. We build and maintain physical infrastructure and public works, community health, justice and public safety services, and more. I always think those numbers are kind of staggering, and it helps contextualize and conceptualize local government and counties in particular. But on to our favorite topic, us. We are the fourth most populous county in the United States with approximately 4.65 million people. So we're so lucky to host two-thirds of the state's population right here in Maricopa County, and we claim the spot of 15th largest by landmass. So in order to cover all that territory, we have 40 plus departments and offices and lots of employees dedicated to providing services to our constituents, okay? Most of you probably know what Maricopa County looks like, but in case you didn't, here is a little map. In red, you can see the outline of the county boundaries. We go as far east past Tortilla Flats, all the way west past Tonopah and Wintersburg and Arlington, and up past Cave Creek, down to Chandler and Queen Creek, etc. So that kind of helps you visualize where we're at, what we do. A little bit more about what we do. Here in Maricopa County, we manage the unincorporated communities, areas like Sun Lakes, for example. It's not actually a city, and it is, in fact, an unincorporated area managed by the county. So we serve as local government and services for those areas outside of city and state purview. Like we said earlier, we have thousands of dedicated employees across numerous departments, and we actually have one of the most advanced 911 operation centers in the Southwest through our MCSO office, and one of the best dive teams in the country. You might not think of water when you think of Maricopa County, but we have a ton of lakes. We operate one of the largest park systems in the nation at just over 120,000 square acres. We make sure the air we breathe meets federal standards. We give immunizations to school-age children, and we maintain thousands of miles of roads and almost 500 bridges. Fun facts. That means we buy a lot of goods, products, services, construction to make that happen. Lisa likes to say, if it can be eaten, worn, burned, buried, we probably buy it to the tune of about $750 million annually. Just take it in. Look at that. Health insurance, chemicals, peanut butter, roads, firearms,
Junk
lawyers,
removal.
tires, service dogs, cough syrup, gasoline. Physical therapist? Yeah, you get the idea, right? But we do it through ethical and responsible procurement, of course. A little bit about us, as Bowen said earlier, we operate out of the Office of Procurement Services. That's our department. And we are the central procurement agency for all county departments. We contract from everything from apples to zebras. Not really zebras, maybe striped dogs, right? Our mission is to provide innovative, cost-effective, and quality services to county agencies through a strategic and systematic approach to procurement. We handle all contracts for purchasing of goods, services, construction over $100,000. That goes through us. Those require formal solicitation. Departments may purchase up to $100,000 using the competitive process. That's our beautiful, beautiful team at our annual holiday party. Who sees me?
With me right behind her with the funny
There
ears
she
on. Yeah,
is.
nice. Uh-huh.
That's us. All right, a little bit about different solicitation types. There are a few types of solicitations you'll come across on BidNet, which is our e-procurement platform. We'll talk about that more. For now, let's give you that big picture vision of the different solicitation thresholds and what they're used for. Informal solicitations, bids, also called quick quotes, apply to purchases under $100,000. A formal solicitation is defined as a bid or proposal with an estimated value greater than $100,000. Brackets, right? The other type you may see is a task order. This happens when there's a requirement to compete contracted vendors when a need arises. In these cases, only those vendors that are already on contract will be able to submit a response. Each solicitation has a specified closing date and time, and all vendor responses must be received before that date and time to be considered for award. So you see, right, we talked about quick quotes, and for those are at the department level. They need to purchase something for their department, and they go in BidNet and they ask for quotes, and then they issue a purchase order to procure that. For formal solicitations, those are our invitation for bids, IFB. We're going to get into the acronym soup a little bit, but don't worry, we're going to demystify it, decode it, and RFPs, requests for proposals. Those are the different contract types that are used for formal solicitations. Any questions there? Don't worry, this is just the beginning. We're going to get into it more. I'm going to assume you don't have questions yet because we're going to answer all of them, okay? We do have some county requirements that Lisa's going to talk to you about. The county requires insurance, licensure, background checks, and agreement to the standard terms and conditions.
Right. So as Ryan mentioned, obviously we have some county requirements. Insurance is going to vary based upon the exposure to the county. And so if you are, we have some standards, but we are able to sometimes waive those standards depending upon the risk and liability that there may be to the county. For example, if you're going in and out of the county jails, and we're going to want you to have that full $2 million coverage. Otherwise, sometimes $1 million is okay. If you see or want to respond to a solicitation that has that insurance requirement and you're not able to meet it, be sure to submit that as an exception. And we'll get into that when we talk about our e-procurement platform, but just be aware of that. If you do something that requires licensure, we do like to use licensed professionals. And so whether it's licensed through the Arizona Board of Technical Registrants or the ROC, or if you're a CPA or something of that nature, we like to use licensed folks. We also want you to e-verify your employees. And so we want to make sure that you're compliant with ARS 23214. And you may be required to go through background checks. It kind of depends on the goods and services that you may be providing to the county and where you're delivering those. Some of those background checks may be more extensive than others. If it's a one-time delivery to a county location, that'll be a pretty simple background check. But if you have staff, again, going in and out of the jails, those are a little bit more extensive. And our standard terms and conditions can always be found on the maricopacounty.gov, the public-facing procurement page at maricopa.gov.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Lisa.
Sure.
So, in the spirit of continuous improvement and cost management, Maricopa County utilizes this bid system to post requests for proposal and other bid opportunities. Our e-procurement platform, BidNet Direct, registration is free and it can be found at that link where it specifically tells you that Maricopa County uses this platform. From there, you click register to bid, and you see that the register now button with an arrow, and it sends you to this screen where you can create a vendor profile, right? When we ask you to register as a vendor, this is what we're referring to, creating an account in BidNet Direct. And it's nice and simple. Basic registration requires key contact information for your company's main user, such as a company name, address, phone number. You'll see right here, you'll put in your info, you'll create a username, which is your email. Make sure that you're paying attention to what capitalization you're using because that field is case sensitive. And when you try and log in the future, it will require you to match the case, right? So all lowercase, all uppercase, one of them is uppercase. Just make sure you match it every time you log in. And you'll create a unique password, agree to the T's and C's, and create an account. From there, there's no charge to register. You can simply follow the registration path and select the basic option. To receive notifications for statewide, federal, or from other purchasing groups, select one of the other registration options or call the BidNet support team for assistance. But in order to receive notification of Maricopa County solicitations, that basic plan is all you need. $0.
We do have two chats. One is if you could share the link to the BidNet in the chat for them to quickly access. And then the second question is if you are already in BidNet, can you sync info?
Yes, you can use your already existing BidNet account. You'll just want to make sure that you're part of the Arizona purchasing group. So you chose Arizona as a state to operate in, and the Arizona purchasing group popped up. We'll see that in the next couple of slides. I think Lisa could probably drop the link to BidNet in the chat for you.
Yep, already done.
She's so quick. I don't know how she does it. All right. Add-ons. The next slide, you have the option to change the plan that you chose or to add an advertising profile for an additional cost. The advertising loads automatically selected, so you must click remove to avoid that additional cost. Again, it's optional, it's not necessary. But maybe you want to promote your business more. You can do that through BidNet. After you click register, this pop-up will emerge and you'll want to head over to your email and check your messages to access the link to complete your company registration and profile. So, ding, 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 the front work is done. Now you just have to continue activating your account through your email. When you get there, this is what it's going to look like. That subject line, activate your account, and it'll give you a link in the body of the email to continue to do so. When you follow the link provided in your email, you will see this screen on the BidNet page where you will be prompted to enter your username and password. Remember what I said about case-sensitive usernames? This is where that's going to apply. From there, you have a 5-step process where you'll continue adding in information about your company and the selected user. You'll confirm the name of your company here and add some organizational details such as the address, phone number, etc. You'll complete all the required fields, which are indicated by that red asterisk. And you can complete the optional ones if you'd like, as indicated by that phrase. It is optional. And then you will scroll to the bottom and click next to go to the next stage. On this page, enter the contact information for the main person who will be managing the account. Again, make sure all the fields are completed as you scroll to the bottom and click next. Most of the stuff so far, pretty easy, pretty straightforward, right? You know your name, you know your company's name, and you know that basic login information that you created along with things like your address and phone number. Nothing too crazy so far, right, y'all? Good, because we're moving on to step 3, which is account activation 3, matching profile. In this step, you'll select the purchasing group state you'd like to join. Be sure to select Arizona to receive Maricopa County solicitations. We recommend selecting states that you do business in. This will allow you to receive opportunities from purchasing entities in those regions. You can update this at any time later, right? If you expand into Texas or wherever, you can add that as you go. For now, to do business with county, just select Arizona. Next, You will select your NIGP commodity codes. The NIGP code is a universal taxonomy for identifying commodities and services in procurement systems. These are standard classification codes for products and services. There may be other classification systems that you can provide codes for, but the county uses NIGP exclusively, right? You've probably heard of NAICS codes. We use NIGP. And the way that you're going to add these to your profile is by utilizing that search bar. You see that on your screen? And you can type in keywords that are relevant to your industry, to your business, and codes will populate as you type those in, and you can select all the ones that are relevant to you. We like to pause here and urge you to cast a wide net, right? Start big, obviously relevant to what you're doing, but the more you select, the more your profile is going to match to opportunities in the system, and you can narrow it down and refine it as you go, or maybe you want to add more. So if you have a consulting services business, you might type in consulting and select, oh, I'm specifically audio-visual consulting versus alcohol and drug abuse consulting. Then I don't need to select every consulting code, just the ones that make sense for my business. And sometimes I get questions, right? Ryan, how do I know what categories I should choose? How do I know what you guys are going to tag your solicitations with? And the answer is you know your business best ultimately, right? You know what you do, and you select those codes. And when we are putting out relevant solicitations, we will also cast a pretty wide net of what we're looking for. So the odds are good that it'll match up when it matches up. And if you need to edit those codes as you go, like I said, you can do that.
Couple of pro tips here. If you are providing services, and so I know some of you provide consulting services, in fact, just remember that all of the services are going to be above 900. And so if you're not seeing anything in the smaller numbers, it's because all the services begin at 900. And so look for those services related codes to be 900 and above. And
Those
again, as Ryan mentioned, yeah, cast a wide net. And so you're going to see what you're getting back as potential matches. And if those work for you, then keep them. But, as you start to refine your profile, you can kind of whittle those down. If you find you're getting things that are not relevant to you, then go ahead and remove some. But if you see something that maybe you didn't get a notification for, then be sure and take a look at what that commodity code was that the department selected when they input that solicitation, and make sure to include those codes in your profile.
Yep. Next, in step 4, you'll enter some additional information about your business, right? What's your business structure? You can choose one that fits. What's your business type? Are you a small business, a large business, minority owned, women owned, veteran owned, etc.? You can indicate that there. Other fields are optional, but once you complete those required fields, you can click activate. Boom, you did it. Now that your account activation is confirmed, you can start looking for solicitations or apply for qualifications. You'll see there that those are the two immediate choices that you have as you're staring at this screen. We talk first about qualifications.
So the county uses the qualifications section to really do a couple of things. We establish contracts that have a task order requirement using a qualification, and we also use qualifications to develop our list of register-based vendors who are interested in providing architectural engineering services and construction-related services. And so if you are a firm that provides one of those services, there is a specific qualification for you depending upon the discipline of services that you provide. For example, civil engineering, if you do wastewater and other resources, that's going to be a different discipline than civil engineering related to traffic and transportation. And so just be aware that if you provide any of those services, we want you to complete this qualification section. You can find it underneath the solicitations, and then you'll see another dropdown that comes, and select the qualifications section there. And then you'll be able to apply for those qualifications. These qualifications are good for a year, and you can keep going. They're good for 1 year, as you guys are required to continue to let us know that you're interested and eligible to respond to requests for these types of services. If we go to the next slide, you can see what that looks like. For civil engineering, you would be asked to provide contract work experience. You'll complete this application, which will provide you with um, your staff experience as well as some projects that you've completed. And then those remain on file. Again, that qualification is good for 1 year.
Yep.
The other thing that we use qualifications for is our small and local business advocacy program. And so Ryan's going to get into that for us.
Yep, we offer a qualification certification to our vendors who meet the eligibility criteria. A few things about the program first, and this qualification specifically, is that the mission of our program is for small and local businesses to have equal access to opportunities to provide goods and services to Maricopa County. We spread this awareness through external training and internal training to our departments, and we maintain stewardship of taxpayer funds while providing small and local businesses the opportunity to sustain and grow their businesses, right? The mission, awarding small and local. The vision, local economic growth. Our vision is to promote the economic growth of our community by spending more local tax dollars with small and local businesses. And we are already doing that. 52% of our suppliers are actually local. And we're always hoping to move that meter, if you ask me. Meaning, if they're local, that they have zip code within Maricopa County. But we invite both local and non-local businesses to participate in doing business with us. Why is it important to support small and local businesses? Well, according to the Small Business Administration and U.S. Census Bureau, and the USSBA Office of Advocacy, and nationwide small businesses created 66% net new jobs since the 1970s. Additionally, small and local businesses are the largest employers nationally. They employ 45.9% of American private sector employees. Yeah, employed by small businesses. So you might think of small businesses as small, but they're big employers. Um, and also there's a direct economic impact when we spend local. When we buy from independent, locally owned businesses rather than national chains, a significantly greater portion of our money is then cycled back through our local economy, strengthening the base of our whole community. So this is a great representation of what happens when a consumer spends $100. When they purchase from a chain retailer, only 43 of those dollars stay in the local economy, versus when you spend locally, 73 of those dollars stay in the local economy. And this higher recirculation happens because local businesses often hire nearby workers, buy from local suppliers, and use local services like accountants, marketers, contractors. So in other words, we're helping locals keep their jobs, create more jobs, and invest in other local community initiatives when we spend local. And for local government, it makes sense because it also means more tax revenue and a strong tax base. Vendor certification, back to the technical aspect within BidNet Direct. So the vendor certification process is a two-part process. First part, the vendor signs up for that free BidNet account, and then once logged in, they navigate to the qualifications tab. From there, they click apply next to the small and local business advocacy certification, and they fill out this form that you see on your screen that asks them about the eligibility requirements. If they click yes to all of those and affirm that they answered truthfully, their application will be submitted and sent to our office for approval. The eligibility requirements, right? Independently owned and operated, fewer than 100 employees, no more than $4 million in annual gross receipts in the last fiscal year. That's how we define small at county. As for local, we ask that they have physical business locations in Maricopa County, or if you have locations both in and outside of the county, those county-based locations hold over half of your employees in sales. Right? So most of your business is done in Maricopa County, and you have to be in continuous operation for at least a year and in good standing with any regulatory agencies in Arizona and county requirements. Pretty simple, right? Pretty straightforward. We do ask that our suppliers submit attestation that they meet those criteria with supporting documents once they have been awarded. So that's pretty straightforward and easy to corroborate, right? It can be your prior year's tax returns or any other document that demonstrates business has been operational for at least a year. You can submit listings of your locations, a screenshot of your website that shows your locations, or provide provide income and financial statements by location. Employee rosters, tax filings, audits, etc. Those will also help you prove that you are being truthful when you told us that you meet the requirements. Any questions? All right, we'll get to them if there are. But real
Sorry, I
quick,
was gonna say I was muted. Indipa had
mhm.
a question. Indipa, would you mind unmuting and giving a little bit more context about your question?
Yeah, so thank you for that. So I was trying to apply for qualification for Maricopa County procurement services, and there's like so many of them for each of the different departments, like there's like 15 or 20 of them. So which one specifically should we apply for? And if we apply for one, do we qualify for the rest or not?
So if you are an architect or an engineer or you provide related construction services, then you should complete those disciplines that you want to be considered for. So if you have engineering staff that has experience with civil engineering, or if you do transportation and traffic, or water resources, those are all different disciplines. And so you would apply for the qualification for each of those disciplines that you would like to be considered for.
Oh, so individually. So the thing is, because we are an IT company, right? So we
Okay.
can build software for any of these different departments that are showing up.
Right.
So,
And those aren't necessarily departments. Those are just different disciplines of engineering services. And so there's a requirement under the Brooks Act, which is a federal act that tells us that we have to qualify architects and engineers who are interested and eligible to do business with us.
mhm.
And so this is how we do that qualification. And so if you don't provide architectural or engineering services, you don't need to worry about the qualification section at all, with the
Mhm.
exception of the small and local certification, if you are eligible for that.
Yeah, so I see there is an option there for Maricopa County Small and Local Business Advocacy Certification. I'm assuming that's the one that we're discussing right now.
That's correct. You got
Oh,
it. Mhm.
thank you.
Of course.
Melissa also had a question. Melissa, go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, yes, thanks. How long does it take for your qualifications to get looked at, approved, or acknowledged, I
So
guess?
the qualifications should be automatically approved. And so once you apply for that qualification, well, with the exception of the small and local, I think Ryan approves those, but for architects and engineering services, those should be auto approved, and those are good for 1 year from your date of application.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then Yolanda said she is attempting to add the Arizona Purchasing Group, but is not seeing a button to add or complete a registration. How would they add Arizona Purchasing Group?
They'll type Arizona into that search box and then it'll add to it. If you're having trouble though with that technical side or with the platform, BidNet support is great, and there will be a picture of their contact information at the end, and they will be able to assist you with completing that process. But for now, I think we'll just keep going through qualifications, and we'll make sure we troubleshoot a little bit more at the end. But real quick, why sign up for the small and local business advocacy program? Why complete that qualification? And we say to set your business apart, right? Show our departments purchasing goods and services that you are a small business and local. We want to do business with you, and this helps us identify you and can give you an edge in the competitive procurement process. This certification allows us to award to other than low bid on those informal solicitations for Article 3 purchases, which are those under $100,000 purchases of goods and services. So set yourself apart and do business with us, okay? Let's talk a little bit about finding and responding to solicitations. You've created your BidNet vendor profile, you are registered to do business with Maricopa County, and you are ready to start responding to our solicitations. First, you'll log in. You'll enter that username and password that you created, and you'll navigate to the solicitation tab to find newest bids. This is what your screen will look like when you click onto that solicitations tab, minus the red boxes. Those I added to show you some important filtration areas that can help you refine the results that you're viewing down to our Maricopa County solicitations, right? Because when you first pop into it, you're going to get a bunch of different solicitations from the Arizona Purchasing Group and more, right? Everything the platform farms will be available to you, and you'll want to be able to sort through those to get to the ones that you can view for free, right? A couple ways that you can do that is you can click member agency bids at the top. See where that's boxed in red and the background is blue. That filters down to just those ones that you can see for free. And to get even further to county bids, because you might be seeing Pima County or other entities in there, you can use the organization drop-down filter on the left-hand side to select what department you want or to select all of them. You can use the location filter to choose county specifically, all of Arizona, and you can also use the purchasing group filter to choose Arizona Purchasing Group. So we get a lot of questions, right? Okay, I'm in there. I see a bunch of these solicitations. How do I see just yours? Well, this is the easiest way to do that.
And you do have access through your Arizona Purchasing Group profile to other agencies within Arizona that also use the BidNet Direct platform.
Yes, ma'am. These are some quick search tips that can help you as you're filtering through different results. Quotation marks, operands, wildcards will help you cater those responses.
Oh, never mind. You're probably going to answer this question, so I'm going to hold it and we'll see.
Okay. A neat feature of BidNet is that you will get notified of solicitations that they think match your profile. So be sure to check those emails to catch bids that spark your interest. How do they do this? They do this through those NIGP commodity codes that you selected earlier in your vendor profile. We tag our solicitations with codes as well, and when those match up, you get a little ding 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 in your email saying you've been invited to respond, right? Invited to bid. This is what it looks like with all my email filtration and security measures utilized. It looks a little bit prettier if your security is more lax. So that's an IFB. RFQ versus IFB versus RFP. Lisa, help me make sense of the alphabet soup.
Absolutely. So you'll hear us throw around a lot of different acronyms. We have a request for qualifications. This is where we're trying to develop a list of qualified providers. We do this a lot for professional services or consulting services where we have a minimum set of qualifications. And if you meet those qualifications, you're awarded the contract. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're awarded any work on the contracts. Most of the time, those work engagements are issued through a task order process. But an RFQ is where we're trying to develop a list of qualified vendors for a multi-award contract. An invitation for bids is where I know pretty much what I want, and I just want you to give me a price. Price is the determining factor. This is a great tool to use for goods. And a request for proposals, an RFP, is where I have a problem and I want you to help me solve it. I may know what my problem is, and so I'm going to explain that to you and maybe what my minimum requirements are. And then I want you to help me solve it. Price may be a factor, but it's not going to be the determining factor. Maybe a combination of goods and services. And you'll be able to provide me with some narrative about your understanding of my issue and how you may solve that problem. So hopefully that'll help you with that.
Mm-hmm. When you click into a bid, this is what it initially looks like, right? This is for some construction project for Southern Avenue, 51st Avenue to 37th Lane, right? And in the initial notice tab where we are clicked in, you'll see some basic information about the solicitation itself, right? Who is the issuing organization? What is the title of the bid? Where is this job located? And what's a description of the work that I can anticipate? This will be some basic information about the project to provide vendors with an idea of what the bid is and for what the requirements are for participating, right? So you'll want to carefully read through all of the information provided on the Notice tab to ensure all requirements are known. There are also important dates such as the publication, closing, and Q&A end dates This is on my next slide right here. You'll see where those are boxed in. Question acceptance deadline, closing date, along with some contact information. Below that are some more basic information about the bid submission process, and it'll tell you what type of pricing we're looking for, right? So this is a really complicated, in-depth one, but it's good for picturing what you should take note of as you're looking at bids. It's really important to know when you have to get your answers in by and when you can ask your questions.
We always like to pause here and make sure that there's a good understanding that when the closing date says 7/7/2026 at 2 p.m., that once that clock turns 2, you will no longer be able to hit or to submit a response. And so the system will not take your response at 2 o'clock. And so it's really, that deadline is a hard deadline that the system enforces. And so, it used to be we would have people that were coming up the stairs, dragging 5 boxes of binders up into our office, and they were crying about they had a flat on the freeway or the dog ate the homework or whatever the case may be, why they couldn't get something in on time. And those days are long gone. And so with electronic submission of bids, that is a hard stop. And so just be aware of that. Don't wait till the last minute to start submitting your bids.
Are all bid submission times in Arizona time? I'm
They are in
assuming.
Mountain Standard Time. Arizona, actually, there's a little corner of Arizona that is in Mountain Daylight Time, so it's Mountain Standard Time. But yes, they're all in Phoenix time. Yes.
Yep,
Fantastic.
and
Thank you.
that will also be indicated in the solicitation itself. You can see in the box, it has 2 p.m. and then it has the time zone. So if for any reason that's different, this is where you would look to find that information.
Yeah.
In the next little gray tab filter on the left, you'll see categories. When you click into categories, this is what populates, and it shows you the NIGP codes that we've applied to the solicitation. If any of the codes match or are similar to the codes you selected for your business, that's a good indicator that the solicitation could be a good match for you. And often this is a place where maybe you manually click into a solicitation and you realize it fits for you and it's relevant for you, but you are missing some relevant NIGP commodity codes. It's a good place to learn and add more as well. And this is just a feature that helps you understand a little bit more specifically the work that we're looking for and what industries it might be. In the next tab is documents and items. This is arguably the most important part of a whole solicitation, and this is where we give you information about the solicitation, how to submit your answers, and what exactly we're looking for. Be sure to read all documents in their entirety, as these will provide specific submission instructions. If you are asked to provide pricing in a specific document, be sure to download the pricing document from the document list. Once you've viewed the solicitation and downloaded the docs, you will be notified of any amendments made. Addendums may change the scope of the solicitation, so please be sure to acknowledge those and remain apprised of the current state of the solicitation. That's documents. In items, those may be included, they may not, but be sure to read these too for a thorough understanding of the solicitation. This is where we might list out individual items that we're looking for with the solicitation. In the Q&A feature, this is where you will be able to ask your questions. When a solicitation is live, our procurement officers are not allowed to help you navigate the, bidding or submission process. All questions that you want to ask us about it need to be submitted through this Q&A portal in the e-procurement platform. You'll see I boxed in the question acceptance deadline and the closing date, and where you click to ask a question. Keep in mind that our contact will receive a notification that a question has been asked, and once the answer to the question has been published, anyone who has downloaded the documents related to the solicitation will receive notice that an answer has been posted and will be able to view all Q&As. So what you submit there is public to other vendors along with the answer. Keep that in mind, right? No identifying info about your business or sensitive information or embarrassing information should be put there. It's a sort of public forum to different suppliers that are bidding on that solicitation, okay? Inquiries may be submitted by telephone to the procurement officer for the solicitation, but must be followed up in writing for the answer to be binding. No oral communication is binding on Maricopa County. Disclaimer. Also, use your I don't know, best decision-making skills when asking your questions, right? We can see from a mile away, we're real people reading them. If you asked AI to generate 50 questions about the solicitation, we're going to clock that. So just make sure you're asking, thoughtful, relevant questions and not abusing the feature. Anything you'd like to add here, Lisa?
Just, we want to make sure that you read the solicitation prior to asking questions. What we have started to see a lot of is what Ryan kind of alluded to. Folks are taking the documents and they're throwing it into whatever AI platform they're using and asking them to, come up with questions. And so we're getting, 45 questions on a solicitation that's pretty well written, then we know that we're in trouble. But just make sure that you have read the documents and that you read the questions before you actually submit and post them. Because, oftentimes AI platforms will miss questions that are already answered in the solicitation. And so read the documents. I know it sounds silly, but we have to put "do not eat" on a tube of toothpaste. And so, just again, make sure that you're reading those documents and that you're reading your questions before you're submitting those.
Yeah. Also, best practice, we recommend breaking up all of your questions. If you have 5 different questions, submit them individually so that you can get individual responses. All right, there's another feature called the plan holders list that's available on some solicitations. Here, in this tab, vendors can access a list of businesses who have shown interest in a solicitation by downloading all the documents. Clicking the caret next to a vendor name will display organizational contact details. This feature allows vendors to utilize prime sub dynamics for a bid. Here, you might find a vendor that is capable of completing a whole contract, whereas you may only be able to do half or vice versa. You could reach out to them to subcontract on it. It's kind of like networking under our solicitations. But yeah, so keep in mind when you download documents, your name will pop up as a plan holder. All documents, if you download all documents. All right, let's say you've read all the tabs, you've asked your questions, you've checked out the categories, you've read the scope of work, you know when the deadline is, and you are ready to place your bid. You'll click the place bid gavel at the top of your screen. Often people kind of expect this to be down on the bottom right. That's how we're used to progressing through web pages, but it's actually located on that top right side. When you click that, you'll be prompted to select either place a new bid or place no bid. If you select place no bid, you will be prompted for a reason prior to submitting. If you select place a new bid, you will be routed to a page where you will upload all relevant documents. Looks like this, right? You can see that there's a tab for proposal, submission, confirmation, along with tabs for documents and pricing. Again, click through all of those. Make sure that you've thoroughly submitted the documents that are required of you and answered what we're asking of you, and then you can hit next. It will ask you to confirm that you're ready to place your bid. You will click yes or no. Keep in mind that you will be able to withdraw a bid or pull it back and edit it and resubmit it all the way up until that submission deadline. Once that passes, you're locked in. Okay? We recommend that in order to submit a good response, vendors read the entire bid packet, highlight areas that fit you, highlight specifics to be addressed in your response. Don't try to do everything and respond with a fair price. And arguably, almost most importantly, don't wait until the last minute. Reading the entire bid packet helps you understand and submit a thorough response, highlighting areas that fit you, that you really want to drive home when you submit your bid will allow you to really hone in that response and deliver in the areas where you're strong. And don't overcommit, right? Don't try to do everything. If you can't do it, don't pretend that you can just so that you get chosen, because if we choose you, that will be binding, right? So deliver on what you can do well and that you're capable of, and make sure that you're responding with a fair price, because we know that you have to operate your business and we want the best price that we can get for our goods and services. So don't extort us, don't be over the top, but also don't sell yourself short on unrealistic pricing that won't allow you to continue to do business, right? And don't wait until the last minute, because you never know when technology will fail you or when something will take a little bit longer than you thought it would. Plan ahead, right? Front load some of that homework so that it's an easy submission process.
Brian, we do have one quick question.
Mhm.
Going back to the small and local business advocacy program, there was questions on that. So a California business would not necessarily qualify for that, but they also could do business with the county, correct? Can you just
Correct.
give a little bit of
Yes.
clarification on that?
Yes. You can be ineligible for the small and local certification and still be able to do business with the county. It's just an additional qualification that you can add to your vendor profile. Can businesses from California do business with us? Absolutely. Are they able to be certified as small and local? Absolutely not. Good?
Yes, thank you for clarifying.
Of course. Some more tips on submitting a great response, because we want you to be excellent. We have some tips from the Harvard Procurement Excellence Network Guide that can guide you. Make sure that you're including all the right documents. Right? You don't want to attach your high school resume. That's not relevant and it won't help your bid. And you also don't get extra credit for extra attachments. Sometimes people want to bolster their response with more than what we ask for. But ultimately we just want what we ask for. And if you're going to recycle some other things that you've used in different bids, make sure that you do customize it for the solicitation that we're releasing. You'll hurt our feelings if you put City of Phoenix and you mean Maricopa County, right? So make sure you're tailoring that response. Rarely will you find something where one size fits all with government procurement. We're typically asking for exactly what we need, and we want you to speak to that. Be specific and be brief. When you're vague, it can be difficult to evaluate your capability to do what we're asking for, to provide what we're asking for. So make sure you're specific in your response, and you don't have to be long-winded. Again, that no extra credit for extra words or attachments point really drives that home. Sometimes longer responses don't mean better responses. And do a read through and review before hitting submit. Do a proper spell check, review formatting and grammar. Make sure you remove the track changes or Google Docs comments. Maybe have a colleague review your RFP response and confirm that you included all the necessary materials and demonstrate that you meet the specifications. Air-filled RFPs are a good look, right? So in order to be excellent, make sure you're proofreading, make sure you're specific, make sure you're brief, and that you're including all the right documents. We evaluate our vendors, our bids for responsiveness and responsibility. Are you submitting all the requested documentation that we asked of you? Are you responding to all the required elements within the solicitation? Do you have a capability to manage the business that we're contracting you for? And did you meet all the deadlines? So, along with your price, along with the quality of your proposal, we are evaluating you for these elements as well. Responsive and responsible. It's a mouthful, but it's how we guide our evaluation process. All right, now that you've submitted your bid and you're the winner, what do you do? First, you're going to get an award notification. Ding, ding, ding. Here's your trophy. Once the evaluation period of all submissions is finished, the vendor who has won the contract will be notified through BidNet. If you haven't been notified in BidNet, you haven't won the contract. So if you're having any questions about whether or not it's been awarded, it's safe to assume that it wasn't, or perhaps that you didn't win it. All right. All solicitation awards of greater than $500,000 are approved by the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors at a public meeting through a formal agenda process. Awards of $500,000 and less are awarded by the Chief Procurement Officer. So, you'll know. Steps for success, make sure you're reading the contract and that you know what you've agreed to do for us. That will prepare you for success. Attend any post-award meetings that are offered so that you can ask your clarifying questions and connect with department staff. And make sure that you add us to your COI and submit it to our financial team along with invoicing. If this is overlooked, you might get your payments kicked back. We need to know how to pay you. We need to know you're insured. And we want you to know what you've agreed to do for us, okay? Should issues arise, it's rare, but it happens, right? Please try to resolve these with the department first. And the first step to that is reviewing the contract. Often we tell you in the contract what to do if certain things pop up. If for some reason the contract can't guide you, then work with the department representative to work things out. We have amazing people in our departments that can be flexible with you and help you, preserve a positive relationship. But if for any reason you're unable to resolve the issues, you can reach out to OPS, our department, and we will help you. Keep in mind that all changes to contracts must be approved by OPS. Departments do not have the authority to approve price increases, modifications, etc. You will be responsible for any monies identified through a contract audit, right? So you cannot call up Dave in FMD and say, things have been difficult. We have to raise our pricing. This is what the new thing is going to be. Even if he says okay, they can't do that, right? You have to come through OPS and through formal processes. So that's a funny picture to help you remember that sometimes change orders can carry a contract, but you do need a change order. You can't do it on your own. But don't be scared. If you need help, BidNet is here for you. Oops. We are here for you. That's a picture, or that's my contact information there, my email, my phone number. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions in this process about doing business with Maricopa County. And about the platform, BidNet Direct Vendor Support can help you out. All right, if you're having technical problems, call them, shoot them an email. There's plenty of information available. Here are some more resources, our small business advocacy page. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can go to the NIGP website and learn more about government purchasing, learn more about managing your BidNet account, etc., etc., etc. But to close out, I just want to remind you that at the end of the day, we need you to help us deliver on our responsibilities. We need you to pave our roads and deliver our shots and provide our law enforcement professionals with equipment, fill our libraries with books, and support our legal systems and the courts. We can't do it without you. We recognize that, and we recognize our obligation to fulfill all these tasks while still supporting and being good stewards of tax dollars. We hope that you will partner proudly with us in these endeavors and choose to be a vendor for Maricopa County. Any questions?